Right guys, welcome back to the channel and to the first of many to come hopefully of this Age of Sigmar podcast. And I'd like to welcome to the channel for the first time ever, Mr. Grant Fraser.
Hello there.
Thank you very much for joining us, Grant, and thank you very much for being the guinea pig.
Oh no, it's definitely a joy to be the guinea pig in this occasion.
So, Grant is from around Aberdeen.
Yeah.
So
like
even further north
the
than
middle of the country.
even further north than where I'm from, which is
A whole different country, in fact.
Yes, yes. So Grant goes to a lot of, maybe it's not most competitive, but you do travel to a lot of Age of Sigmar events. You actually are aware of Mr. Ian Spink as well, who was local to myself.
Yes, he was up at the Howling event recently. I believe he took away Best Sports.
Yeah, which doesn't surprise. Ian is an absolute fantastic guy and an absolute joy to play against. If you haven't seen Ian's Bone Splitters, because he is a massive Bone Splitter fan, we actually did the preview game with him. So, yeah, he's obviously...
They're very nice. I did get a chance to have a look at them because I believe he was also nominated for a painting award.
Do you know what?
He repainted them.
He repainted them just for the new book.
that's dedication.
Yeah, and that's a lot of boys.
Yeah.
yeah. So go and check out.
It's a lot of butt cheeks to paint.
So go and check out that battle report if you haven't seen it already on our YouTube channel. But today, there's a few things come out for Age of Sigmar recently, and we are mainly going to focus on the Ogor Mawtribes. Bone Reapers I feel they need a lot of play testing, and the FAQs just come out for them. A lot of people complain that they've nerfed them already, Grant.
Yeah, because you can actually kill models now. You don't just spam harvesters and nothing dies anymore. So I mean, you know, however will they cope with a army-wide +1 save?
Oh no, 2+ save Nagash. Rerolling ones for his command trait. I'm surprised they didn't FAQ that to stop Arkan and Nagash benefiting from the Legion. I'm surprised. I thought it would stop that.
That must be a thinking behind the point increase as well, though, is because they're getting those benefits. I know they can spam
Arcane
Bolt and that now, but
I mean, if you've got both of them and another wizard in your army, you're getting off 14 Arcane Bolts.
But you've also got nothing else in your army, so that because that's what 888 plus 360 plus
130, I think, for a Necromancer.
Yeah, so I mean,
hey,
you've not got much left.
Lucy's going to run that soon.
Well, I'm probably going to be proven wildly wrong then. So.
So, the big hotness at the moment, besides the Bone Reapers, though, is the Ogor Mawtribes. Now, I bought Beastclaw Raiders about 3 years ago. They were my first AOS army that I technically bought. I don't count the Khorne because I already had Khorne Demons, and I only got the Bloodbound because me and Lucy went halves on the Age of Sigmar First Edition box.
Yeah.
Beastclaw Raiders were the first army that I bought for looking at the armies and going, I want that army.
Yeah.
And it's because the giant beasts are just so cool. Now, I've always loved destruction armies. You probably noticed that most of the battle reports I do, I'm using destruction because I love them. And I did have a small Gutbuster force. I had enough to field 2,000 points. And you know what? I loved running them, Grant. Absolutely loved them. They were so simple and so fun, but the lack of allegiance ability hurt them.
The big thing as well, obviously, is everything was hitting on 4s in your whole army.
Oh, yeah. That was the thing, though. Destruction, they don't hit very well, but they hit hard, so they hit on 4s, wound on 3s. Chaos was always the opposite way. They were good fighters, but not that strong.
Mm-hmm. But as the time has gone on, it's changed somewhat over the last few years of AOS.
Absolutely. Now, the last few books I think they've done with AOS is they've kind of, I want to say, slapped a few allegiances together and basically gone, you can take all of these, you still get your allegiance abilities, but they don't break your allegiance. So, like, even the Auric War Clan book, I mean, the Great War's there, but it's still very much two separate armies. And I feel...
The Great War's really good. Having played against it, I really like the Great War.
It's not something I've done because obviously I don't have any Bone Splitters, but I love the Iron Jaws.
The game I played at the Howling was against Mr. Johnny Ford, a local Scottish player, and he just had Iron Jaws in his army. But the thing with getting the 6+ shrug save fairly quickly, and then you get +1 to hit, +1 to wound. It just kind of snowballs, and I was really impressed with it. I definitely think there's play in Big Wa for sure.
Well, having not obviously really looked at Bone Splitters, the only experience with Bone Splitters I've got is playing against Ian. So it is something I might look into. But when you look back, right, there was so many smaller destruction factions within the Gloomspike Gits book, and it's still very distinct. Yes, you can take that Mangler Squig, you can take them Fellwater Troggoths, you can take them Goblins, but you still have to build your army mostly around one of those features for everybody to benefit from it.
Yeah.
So you still want a Loon Boss on Mangler to give all of your Squigs +1, but if you've got no Goblins, you don't really want a Loon Boss. So it's still very specific in the way that you had to build it. And I think that's what they've done with the Ogre book as well, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No, my experience of playing Ogres is in fantasy from the old Ogre Kingdoms book. So I'm used to them being together. One faction. Yeah. So I do like the fact they can be fielded that way now, but I still agree. I still think you're going to focus on one and maybe take something from the other section. You don't think you're going to go a 50-50 split, really. You're going to have either a big Beast Claw force with maybe a unit of Gluttons or a Wizard or something.
Yeah.
Or an Ogre force with a big Beastie.
I mean, I always used to ally Butchers in anywhere.
Yeah.
But the fact that you do that now without breaking allegiance, and then, of course, you've got access to the Butcher spells, it's brilliant.
It's great.
But when you look at each of the tribes are very, very specific the way that they're built. There's 3 that focuses on Ogres, there's 3 that focuses on Beast Claws, but even within them, each one is vastly different. Like the Beast Claw ones, you've got ones that focus on Mournfangs, which was the, I think, run and charge if you're within 12 of the table edge.
Yeah, it's like a flanking force kind of thing.
Yeah, you've got one that focuses on Yetis and Thunder Tusks. And then you've got Boulderhead, which focuses on the giant beasts, essentially.
Yeah, it's very much a run and smash your face in and keep running and going through you force. It's a good one. I like that one.
Sorry, the one I mentioned about the Yetis also benefits Frost Sabers as well. So, you know, you've still got to think about which way you want to build your list within the book, but the fact that you can take other stuff without breaking it and still getting all of your benefits, it is brilliant.
No, it's good, and I think a lot of these ideas behind the armies, like the Yetis and in Mournfang forces, people are already doing themed armies, and now they're just getting a bonus for them, which is great. Or you can like the theme and then build to it.
Yeah,
it's
yeah. I mean, the old Beast Claw Allegiance, the Everwinter table was a D3 roll to, you know, get a certain buff, which I think was a 3-inch move, reroll saves of a 1, or do damage if you're within range. Now, I didn't mind the Allegiance abilities. The thing I didn't like about it was so random, and if you rolled higher, you couldn't choose a lower one.
And you always took the artifact, let you re-roll it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So that was already one artifact slot used up before you even looked at anything else in your army.
Exactly. But when you look at the Allegiance abilities that you've got now, I mean, yes, a lot of people are saying that the Thunder Tusks and the Stonehorns are nerfed. For the good of the game, I agree with the change to the Thunder Tusk. You not being able to snipe 6-1 characters on a 2+. It was, as a game mechanic, and as a Beast Claw Raider player, I'm saying that was broke. It was very, very powerful.
it was a let's snipe a support hero, not let's throw a big snowball into a unit of
Yeah.
troops coming at you. And I think that's why I like it. I think it feels more thematic, the change.
And for the good of the game, I think the change that they've done is much, much better.
Yes.
But what I
used to hate when you roll up against somebody with a number of Thunder Tusks on the table and you just know, right, I'm losing 2 support characters turn 1.
Yeah. The thing with the Thunder Tusks as well, and the thing that always hurt Beastclaw Raider players anyway, was I've got 1 model on the objective.
Yeah.
That was... It was so brutally hard to... You had to go out to kill, not control.
Yeah, you had to spend 3 turns killing, hope you'd killed another, and then score in the last 2 turns.
Yeah, yeah. That now is totally flipped on its head, because obviously a normal ogre counting as 2 models and a monster counting as 10. That.
Well, my game against the Ogor Mawtribes book, the way the game ended up was I could have potentially won if I'd been a bit more aggressive with my Star Drake.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, what won it was he had a Stonehorn versus my Star Drake and a Knight of Zeros and an objective. So he took it from me a turn earlier than ideally I'd have liked him to, and that got him the points. And you couldn't have done that in the old rules.
No,
I'd have still held it because I had 2 models there.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It was good. It makes them a threat.
Yeah, I mean, there's a battle report that I've just put out, and in turn 3 or 4, I actually retreated with my Stonehorn, because Gary only had, I think, 9 goblins on the objective, and I was just like, okay, I'll just retreat from the other goblins I'm fighting. Yes, I'm not going to kill anything, but oh look, I took the objective off you.
Exactly.
It is so good compared to what we had before. It's brilliant, and you've still got Grasp of the Everwinter, but the way it's changed, I find it very thematic. So it's like your beasts are on the table, they brought the winter with them. It's harder to get off on turn 1. It gets easier as the game goes on, emphasising, and it's fluffy, that these cold beasts are here and they are going to freeze you.
Yeah, it's just nice to see you get a nice... It's good to see the whole Allegiance get a boost up, and they've definitely improved across the board, obviously giving Gutbusters something, because they had nothing, and just taking the lore and the fluff of the Beast Claw and just not turning it up to a stupid level, which I like. It's not broken in any way, but I think the whole book as a whole is very strong and very thematic. And that's
totally.
Which I much prefer to, for example, the likes of Bone Reapers, who are looking incredibly strong, or cities who can be incredibly strong. I think you've got a nice...
The thing I like it a lot is Trampling Charge. People are like, oh, the Stonehorn doesn't do D6 mortal wounds on the charge anymore. Well, no, but how whatever you roll for your charge, roll that many dice and you do mortal wounds on 4s. The potential is there to do 12 mortal wounds. And again, in that game with Gary, I think I did 10 out of the 12. Yes, it was against goblins, but you know.
But not only that, you can buff your damage on the charge. So even if you're not getting the mortal wounds, you can be damage 5 with your Stonehorn Tusks on the charge. I mean, there are people complaining that they don't have damage anymore, but I think the 5-up shrug's better. Potentially,
it works. When Stone Skeleton came out, it was half the damage suffered. So because it was damage suffered, you would wait until all wounds had been allocated. Then you have to, and he took that many wounds. That was massively strong. Yeah, then they turned around and went, oh, no, half the damage of the weapon that hit you. And then it was like, all right, well, all my big stuff's just going to avoid your Stonehorn, and I'll have 20 Demonettes.
Yeah, exactly, and I'll wear you down.
Yeah. So the fact that the 5-up is there, you would always half 3 to 2 anyway because of the damage characteristic, which means you've got a 1 in 3 chance of shrugging 1 wound out of a 3 damage weapon. So statistically, it's about the same. But the fact that you can then ignore a 1 damage attack, it's better in that way. So, I mean, yes, it's down to luck at the end of the day, but statistically, I think it works out better.
Yeah. I think it feels better for the other person. As somebody playing against them, you go, oh, here's my great big weapon.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's now 2 damage, or it's now 3 damage instead of whatever it was. It's no, now it's like, okay, I've got the damage through. Now you're on to 5-up saves. So you're not. It just, I think it feels better.
Yeah.
And I think that's something to be said for.
And I think that because there is so many negate wounds in the game, making it something that is familiar to other armies not only means that the Beastclaw Raider player feels like, you know, a little bit closer to the other armies. Your opponent's not like, oh, that's a stupid rule. Well, it's the same as other armies now, so...
Yeah, exactly.
So, the other massive change in the book is everybody lost one of their basic attacks. But they got their bite, which is only 1 damage. Now, when you think about, oh no, they lost an attack. Well, yeah, but now they hit on 3s.
Yeah, and that's it's so big. So big.
Which means if you roll well on your Slaughtermaster's pot, you're hitting on 2s.
And it's not just that. It's hitting on 4s is the worst. Because if you're hitting on 5s, you expect to miss most of it. If you're hitting on 3s, you know you're going to do pretty well. But 4s, you either feel like you've rolled really well or you've rolled terrible.
The other issue with 4s is there's so much -1 in the game.
Yeah.
Like Goblin Netters and Fellwater Troggoths are 2
Geminids.
Yeah. And the Shards, do the Shards of Ulgaish do it?
Yeah, pretty sure they do.
There's a lot of stuff out there that does -1 to hit. People's spells, even the Ogres have got a spell which is -1 to hit. The fact that you would drop to then hitting on 5s is just like, oh. So,
especially with no rend, yeah, you got the 2 damage, but it just feels like you're just rolling buckets of dice and
and getting nowhere.
Yeah,
getting nowhere. So I think, you know, Ogres, I think they're in a good position. They haven't been out long enough, I think, to really make their stamp on the competitive play. But
and we're towards the end of the year for tournaments, so we're probably not going to see their impact until maybe the beginning of the year. I think. Can't really think if there's anything major coming up.
Yeah,
there's the Crimbobo doubles this weekend. That's a doubles event, so that's different.
It's totally different. I mean, I think certainly by Adepticon, you're gonna know where Ogres will stand. You're gonna know where Bone Reapers will stand.
Yeah,
can they knock Slaanesh down? Well, I don't know, because the problem with the Ogres is you've got 3 wounds per guy that you basically
you're
depravity
complete
points.
Depravity farm. Like, the Ogres, anything multi-wound's bad for, well, good for the Slaanesh player, but bad to be playing against Slaanesh. And Ogres just have so much wounds. Like,
the flip side to that is a squad of Gluttons or Iron Guts will take down a Keeper.
Yeah.
Even if they fight last, as long as you've got a full squad, the chances are you will bring a Keeper down. But then the flip side of that is not only are you giving them wounds from your guys, depravity points, you're giving them depravity points from killing their Keeper.
Yeah, so he's going to get another one.
He's got another one back.
Slaanesh is not... It's not even the depravity that really annoys me as much, it's the Locus. That's what really... That's the feel bad.
It's a 2+ on a Keeper, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one that's...
It should be a 3+.
I would say I would like it to be an army-wide 4+, but there's an artifact or a trait that makes it a 3+ for one mod.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's fine.
The other thing that I like about the Ogres, right, is they kind of suffered the same as Iron Jaws. They didn't have much maneuverability. Obviously, with Iron Jaws, that's vastly different now. The fact that you're hungry or eating, I mean, in the battle report with Gary, I had a 19-inch moving Frostlord on Stonehorn.
Yeah, I mean...
19-inch movement. With fly.
You expect them to move big. It's the Ogres. Like, just buffing their movement, it just catches you by surprise.
Moving 8 is good movement.
It's great on a big block of 12 that counts as 24 models onto an objective. Like, it's...
Absolutely. And do you know what? Like, I don't think any of the command traits really stand out for me as being amazing. I don't think any of the artifacts stand out as being amazing either.
I mean, for me, because I look at the clans,
yeah,
I've not really looked at much of the generic ones.
Yeah,
because I think you're pretty much always going to take a clan.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no reason not to. Some of the artifacts are okay, and then of course you're going to see the standard ones. You're going to see the Thermal Rider Cloak. You're going to see the Ethereal Amulet, and you're going to see a couple of other things as well. The relic that I like though is the what's it called? The Wizard Flesh Apron. Cast an additional spell. There's so many good spells. I say so many. There's at least 3 that you want to be casting all the time, in conjunction with the fact that the Butcher still has the Maw.
Yeah, which you're always going to want to try and do something with.
Do you know what? When they dropped Arcane Bolt to only doing 1 mortal wound, right, there was no reason never to not try the Maw.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that you can get it on a 6 essentially because of the terrain feature is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. The relics and command traits that go with each of the tribes as well, I think a lot of them are very, very fitting in conjunction with the buffs that actually come alongside each of the tribes.
Yeah, they're all very thematic. The one other artifact that I do quite like from the general list is it's not great, but I like the Sky Titan Scatter Pistols. So he's got attack characteristic of 6 with his pistols instead of 2. I just like the idea of this gun shooting ogre just running about the place, just blasting everyone.
But it's the fact that the damage is D3 as well. Like you can actually do a fair bit. One of my other favourites was always Gaia Strike, which I used. I used to take that on the old Tyrant with the Great Gut Gouger, and then you would always take Might as Right as his command trait, and then pray that you got +1 double damage against monsters for his big name.
And just go to town.
I once one-shotted Bryn's Magma Dragon with that combo. Yep.
That's a Hall of Fame moment, that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't remember the guy's name, but he runs the Doom and Darkness YouTube channel. He actually plays a lot of Ogor Mawtribes before they even got the new book, and he experimented with 4 Tyrant lists.
Yeah.
Because Tyrants...
I'm a big fan of Doom and Darkness.
Do you know what? The Tyrant model, yes, you can't pick and choose your weapons and stuff now, but overall, right, what he's got is still pretty good.
Yeah. He's a good mix. Doesn't quite go as crazy as the Great Gouger used to, but that was always going to go. That was never going to get to stay through this book.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, again, it's not a nerf, it's just a change to the way he plays. He's supposed to be a commander. He kind of specialises at killing everything now because he's got, doing the extra damage against monsters with the spear and things like that. So I think
his command ability is better now.
Yes, bully in the first degree because he had to be on the board.
Yeah, so now he can die and they're still Battle Shock immune.
Yeah, which is fantastic. So, as far as I like to see it, there is, if you pick one of these tribes, you've still got to build the core of your list around what is buffed in each of the tribes. So it is nice, but it is restrictive at the same time in the sense that you're kind of locked into that. But because of the 6 vastly different ones, each one plays vastly different.
Yeah, you're probably going to find something that fits what you want to do.
Absolutely. I mean, I love Boulder Herd for my monsters, and I love Blood Gullet for normal ogres.
Yeah, I've gone with I'm quite interested in Underguts.
Right.
I like the lore for them. I found that I really enjoyed reading the lore part. The idea of these pale-skinned ogres living underground that come out blasting with all their lead belchers and cannons, I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got 3 lists between us to go through. I will post the lists on the video description on YouTube. I'll also probably post them on our Facebook page, so make sure you are following both of those to see them. So, do you want to take your Underguts list first, Grant? Talk us through what's in it and why you've chose what you have.
Okay, so for the general, we've got a Slaughtermaster.
Yep.
With obviously the Massive Scars command trait, which is -1 from wound rolls for attacks made with missile weapons that target him. So it's what you got to take, but it's not bad. Spell-wise, I went with Ribcracker,
Of course.
just for that -1 to save. Then we've gone with a Firebelly with Billowing Ash, which is -1 to hit wholly within 12.
Yep.
Then we've got Huskard on Thunder Tusk, which is, I've given him the Pulverizing Hailstorm spell, because because other ones are for buffing units that aren't in this list.
Yeah.
And his mount trait is the -1 rend on melee attacks.
Yep, which is it's very defensive, and I think the thing that frustrated me with the Thunder Tusk traits is they all seem very aggressive, but you don't necessarily want them in combat.
Yeah, that was like pretty much the only one I could find that made sense for what he does in this list.
Yeah.
So then we've gone with 12 Ogre Gluttons with Iron Fists, 2 units of 6 Lead Belchers, and 4 Iron Blasters. So
I do like the change to Iron Blasters because they've got no minimum range now.
Yeah.
And they've got a second profile, which is the 6 shots with 1 damage each.
So the way that I'm thinking this in my head is you've got your Huskard surrounded by your Iron Blasters.
Yep.
And your Firebelly there as well. So you can Firebelly can hopefully make the whole blob of guys there -1 to hit. Then you've got your Huskard's shooting attack.
Yeah.
And then for a command point, you can add 1. Where's the exact wording here? Pick 1 Underguts hero with the end of that phrase. Add 1 to tax characteristic of all missile weapons of units wholly within 12 inches. So all those 4 Iron Blasters are fighting twice,
which is really good.
Yeah. Plus you've got his shooting ability.
Yeah.
So you shoot him off first if he's in range to, because obviously his degrades depending how many unit models are left in the unit. Then you've got 4 Iron Blasters going. Then on the other side you've got your Slaughtermaster with your 12 Ogres and your 2 units of 6 Lead Belchers weakening stuff up as well.
And bearing in mind they have range 18, so realistically they can most of the time probably stay still and get you D6 shots each.
Yeah, I mean it's not a top tier shooting list, but it's a good shooting ogre list. I think it's something a bit different.
Absolutely.
Potentially.
Absolutely.
I also love the Lead Belcher and the Iron Blaster models, so another reason why I've gone with as much of them as I could fit in. And that's 1960 points. So you've still got a good chance of a triumph, but no battalions. So you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 10 drops. So probably never going to get the choice.
No, but I think a lot of people wouldn't necessarily expect that. I mean, you're going to have to rely on the dice gods for them Iron Blasters, but still.
I mean, for the command point, you're hitting on 4s. You should effectively get 4 hits.
Yeah.
So you're spending command point to make all your Iron Blasters hit on average, and you might spike it and get some more.
Yeah.
So
it's not a bad shout.
I can't remember who I gave the artifact to because it's not anything amazing. Probably the Slaughtermaster. That's the one thing with the Underguts tribe is the artifact's not anything amazing. No,
I mean subtract 1 wound rolls for missile weapons. Realistically, there's not that much shooting in the game unless you play Seas.
No, but there's always that threat. Shooting's always the thing that can handle a lot of units. But as I've said to everyone that keeps saying it, until we see a new model line of shooting armies, I don't think we're going to see that much shooting. No. I think that's the big thing holding shooting armies back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other than cities with the bridge and the 30 handgunners and the no fun.
When you told me about that, I was just like, hang on, what does this do? And I had to flip through the battle tome and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I get it.
No, I think I'm using my Soul Screen Bridge for part of my display board, just because to have one less of them on the tables is probably a good thing.
So, the list that I chose, I went Blood Gullet, because I don't know, I like the magic, so... In the Blood Gullet Mawtribe, Butchers know 1 extra spell, and in addition can cast an extra spell.
Which is just...
When you consider that you want 3 of them spells to be going off, plus if you've got a Butcher, you want them more to go off, and then you've got a Mystic Shield or Arcane Bolt on top of that. So, actually that's 5 casts, but I will get to it. So I'm taking a Gormand within the Blood Gullet, and that allows you to use the pot from the Slaughtermaster twice. Now, if you're like me, you'll probably roll 2 1s. But if you're very careful with the order that you do this, even if you take wounds, you can heal yourself back up anyway.
Which we did see you learn about the order during your battle report.
Exactly. So eat from the pot. If you take the wound, if you cast a spell, roll a dice and you can potentially heal back up. You've got to bear that in mind when you're casting your spells. The fact that you get +1 from the Cauldron, of course, is fantastic. And all of the spells are casted value 7. However, can you tell me, Grant, why the -1 save roll, I think it is a casting value of 7 when the Legion of Grief have the exact same spell for a casting value of 5?
Yeah, there's not a lot of consistency with things like that. Because I'm pretty sure Beasts of Chaos get it on a 6.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So in my list, of course, like I said, I am running the Blood Gullet. I've got a Slaughtermaster, which is part of the battalion, and I've got a Butcher. The Butcher, because I'm running the Gormand, I get to take a second artifact. And I actually went for the Wizard Flesh Apron. There's lots of other things.
Because you don't have enough spells.
Well, exactly. But realistically, right, you've got Blood Feast, which gives an extra unit, an extra attack. Block of 12 Ogres with 4 attacks each, and then 2 attacks with their bites, is so good that you don't want to pass this up.
No, you do want that.
There's absolutely no way. So I'll give him Blood Feast, and then I give him Greasy Deluge, which is the -1 to hit rolls. I then give the Slaughtermaster Blood Feast again and Rib Cracker.
Yeah.
The reason I give him Blood Feast again is because I probably have him cast Blood Feast and Rib Cracker, because those are the 2 spells that you want to get off. Then the Butcher can cast Greasy Deluge, he can cast the Maw, and then he's still got his Arcane Bolt or Mystic Shield.
Yeah.
And
it's always good to have redundancy on a key spell.
Exactly. So the fact that Mystic Shield is one of the spells that you're likely to be casting, normal Ogres with a 5-up save, maybe not put it on them, but with your Iron Guts on a 4-up, you want them rerolling 1s, because for everyone that's still alive, that is so much damage output.
Potential 9, 3 attacks each that they've got.
3 attacks each base.
Yeah.
That would go up to 4.
Yep.
That's
12 damage, and then another 2 from the bites.
Exactly. But not just that. If you're then protecting them with that, and their target's got -1 save, because -1 rend is not that great in comparison to some of the stuff that you can get.
Yeah, I did think we might see them go to -2.
They are still very expensive.
Well, then I think they'd maybe be too good at -2 rend. I think they'd just be a little bit.
But we've got to bear in mind they're hitting on 3s now.
Yeah.
Which is much, much better than what they were. And of course, if you can get the +1 to hit from the Cauldron on them as well, you can severely buff 1 unit of 12 Iron Guts or a unit of 12 Gluttons very well and very quickly and easily. And when you consider that you're moving 8 inches, that's mental.
Yeah, that's a worrying unit.
You can, even splitting them out between 2 units. You can go Blood Feast on your block of 12 Iron Guts or Gluttons. You can go Rib Cracker on one of their targets, probably the target of the Gluttons because they don't have any rend. And you can go Greasy Deluge on either them because If they get hit back, they've only got a 5-up save, and then cast your Mystic Shield on your Iron Guts. Even though neither unit is buffed to High Heaven, they've got 2 or 3 buffs each. They're going to do a lot of work, both of them are, and that's before you even mention the mortal wounds on the charge.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing with buffing 2 units lightly is your opponent can then focus the one that's buffed, or unbuffed, depending on how they're attacking them. Both of them are a significant threat.
Exactly, so even if you only do 2 charges, yes, you know one of them is going to get hit, but if they've got a little bit of defense in there as well, such as the -1 to hit, and they've got Mystic Shield on, your opponent has got to think, well, hang on, you swung with your Iron Guts, you've nearly killed that unit. Am I going to go into the Gluttons, or would I rather try and kill 2 or 3 Iron Guts? So
yeah,
it's
forcing
still
bad choices is always the answer to the problems.
So I think it gives a little bit of, I mean, don't get me wrong, if you're only charging 1 unit, put everything everything on it.
Yeah, I mean,
if you need to take back an objective, you will take it with them buffs, and the fact that you're still counting as 2 models each keeps them alive longer. You could 3 damage a piece. You could charge. What's the biggest unit? 60 zombies. Is that the biggest unit you can get?
I can't. The last time I saw zombies on the table.
Like, could 12 Iron Guts buffed up take zombies out? Probably.
I mean, I was playing with my 8 Dracoth against Mawtribes, and even just 4 Iron Guts do work.
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a 3-up rerolling ones, but now I'm a 4-up rerolling ones, and you're doing 3 damage a hit.
Yeah,
and it was terrifying to see how quickly they can just put the hurt on something.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So the Tyrant is my general for this, and of course I've given him a nice drop of the red stuff. Friendly units that start a pile and move wholly within 12 of this general can move an extra 3 when they pile in. Now, how difficult is it to pile in and fight with 40 mil bases?
Yeah, it's especially with 1 inch, 2 inch reach, is it?
2 inch for the Iron Guts, 1 inch for the Gluttons.
Yeah, so in the Gluttons, that's massive.
Absolutely massive. Because the fact that you can pile in 6 inches, yes, you still got to be within 3 piling. It's not like the Yeti's ability, but the fact that you can pile in further, you can get, like, I surrounded Lucy Zombie Dragon with my Gluttons, even without the 6 inch pile in. But having a 6 inch pile in, getting everybody within range. If you've daisy chained a unit, for example, and you only get 1 or 2 in combat, it's like, okay, I'll probably get 1 or 2 more with a 3 inch pile in. Suddenly with a 6 inch pile in, you've got an extra 4 or 5 of them in.
Yeah, and that makes a huge difference.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then the artifact as well. I like this because it keeps your big squads around even longer. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons, and at the end of the combat phase, any wounds inflicted by that weapon in that phase were allocated to an enemy model and not negated. You can heal D3 wounds allocated to each friendly Blood Gullet Ogre unit within 12 of the bearer. So the Tyrant's healing himself, but if he's next to the Iron Guts, he's giving them the extra pile in. Oh no, I've got an Iron Gut on 1 wound because you've fought back. Great, the Tyrant's just hit somebody and he's got 3 wounds back. Yeah.
No, I didn't realise that. That's really good.
It just makes them go that little bit further.
Yeah. And yeah, you've obviously you count as 2 for scoring objectives, but you're still a fairly low model count army.
Yeah.
Especially with a model like an Iron Gut who can deal so much damage, you need to keep them around as long as possible.
Exactly. And that just helps keep them alive that little bit longer. You're maximising your damage output with all your buffs. You're maximising your damage output with your 6 inch pile in. You're taking damage back, but then your Tyrant fights. He's like, oh yeah, here, have a couple of wounds back, guys. But not just that. Oh no, I've lost like 4 iron Guts because your Terrorgeist just rolled a double 6. Right?
Yep.
Oh, by the way, I'm still passing my morale. Because I've got +2 bravery. That is so good because every model you lose in your army, you feel it.
Yeah.
Even with running 30 models, I think I've got 32 models in this list.
Mm-hmm.
It still hurts to lose models.
Yeah. No, it's any of your like your Stormcast, your Ogres, your Iron Jaws to an extent, depending on how you build your list, unless you're going plenty hard boys, which is a thing now. You do models start dropping quicker than you'd like a lot of the time. It really does.
Especially the Gluttons, because they've only got that 5-up save.
Yeah. And you think, oh, 4 wounds will keep you around, but
it doesn't.
Not in AOS 2, it doesn't. No.
It doesn't. And then I've gone for a Firebelly with Billowing Ash. Now, I haven't got a Firebelly model. I plan on getting one. But Billowing Ash as well, again, if you're starting within range of your Morpot, it's a 12-inch bubble of -1 to hit. You stay within an inch of your pot, you cast it, you move and run forward. You don't even put them in combat, just throw them in the direction that your ogres are going and make sure that when you pile in, they're still within 12. So
it is cast on an 8. I just realised that with Billowing Ash, so it is a little bit harder to get off.
Yeah, so 7 with the Morpot, but
yeah.
The thing with the Morpot as well is you don't even have to put it in your own territory.
No.
And it's a hefty piece of terrain. You can certainly use it to make bottlenecks, force your opponent to come through. Obviously, you've got to know, you've got to take into account your model placement and your movement and everything with that. But if you can use that to direct your opponent away from an objective or to bottleneck them, then, make them suffer that -1, charge him up then next to the bottleneck, but so that he's not in the way. And if your opponent tries to get through, they're at -1 to hit with everything else that's coming at them. So, because of the Gourmand, I've then gone a unit of 12 Gluttons. I like dual weapons. It doesn't give the reroll 1s or the reroll all hits if you charge like what it used to, because the Glutton War Scroll changed slightly.
Yeah.
But obviously they've got the Bellower, they've got both banners and the Lookout Grot and everything in there as well. But the fact that you're getting +1 attack if you cast the spell on them, they've got 4 attacks each with them dual clubs, right? And 6 is you're doing 2 hits.
Yeah. I think I'm not sure which way will become the way to build ogres. I don't know if even there is a better way. I think both are viable now, whereas Iron Fist obviously really weren't before.
On an unmodified 6 now, which is the way it always should have been, because Rend used to just remove the ability. There's a real argument, but I think if you go on aggressive, absolutely go for the paired weapons. If you're happy to book your Iron Guts as an aggressive unit, then maybe play a bit more defensive and go for the fists. But I've put a full block of 12 Gluttons and a full block of 12 Iron Guts. Yeah, don't get me wrong, those Iron Guts are going to draw attention.
Oh, yeah.
They're more than a quarter of your army at 660 points, but they'll only have to look at something to hurt it.
Yeah. A bit unwieldy would be the only downside to them. Is a lot of board space you're taking up, depending on...
Yeah.
But it's only 12 models at the end of the day. It's not...
And again, the 2-inch reach helps them. I find I struggle more with the Gluttons.
The Gluttons,
yeah. And then I've ran a unit of 4 Lead Belchers. Again, it's needed for the battalion, and the unit of 4 is there as the 3rd battle line as well. I would leave these back, whilst the 6-inch shots are very nice. I kind of keep them back to defend the Butchers a little bit. And kind of keep them in the middle of the board so that, if they do stand still, if your opponents are coming at you a little bit, you might have the chance to get the D6 shots off. But you know what? Lead Belchers aren't even that bad in combat.
Nope. That -1 Rend. Okay, they lose an attack compared to the Gluttons, but that Rend helps.
Absolutely. So they can even fight things off that are coming for objectives. So that's my list. It's very, very simple. Butcher, Slaughtermaster, Tyrant, and Firebelly. 12 Iron Guts, 12 Gluttons, 4 Lead Belchers. It comes in at 1920 points when you pay for the Gourmand. You buy a command point because, let's face it, you want to do all-out attack to reroll the 1s to hit.
Yeah.
Nearly all the time. That takes you to 1970, which still leaves you with a pretty good chance of getting a triumph as well.
Yeah. It's pretty solid. So it means if I took my shooting list, I would get the command. I would get the triumph, though, you see.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So again, you can see there's two very, very different ways to build Ogre lists. Now, Grant's put together a Beast Claw Raider specific list, and I think it's very, very similar to the one that I ran in the battle report. The only issue that I had was I wanted a Frostlord, I wanted a Huskard on Thundertusk, I wanted a Huskard on Stonehorn, and you can't fit that in with an Earlbad in 2,000 points.
No.
Which was the downfall. But, you know, you play around with it a little bit. Yeah, you'll have to lose one hero, and you can get a couple of extra Mournfangs in.
Yeah, I just basically went with, what can you do with 3 star collecting boxes? Let's use everything in these 3 star collecting boxes.
Let's go with if you want an army, drop 2. Mm-hmm. Oh no, the cost went up. They're not 50 quid anymore. How much are the Beast Claw Raider box sets? Are they 55?
55 or 50. Oh no, they may be 60.
I think they're 60 now.
I think so.
But even then, that's 180 quid.
Yeah.
Plus your book, plus the terrain feature. In fact, you wouldn't even necessarily.
You don't need the terrain feature with this list. It doesn't do anything for you.
Well, it heals you.
Yeah, but you could do without it if you want to.
Yeah.
Do you not need a hero nearby to activate the healing?
Yeah, within 6 inches.
So you might not have one nearby because.
Yeah. I mean,
it's 2 your Stonehorns. You're going to want them thrown into things.
Yeah. See, I think my issue was when I do a Boulder Herd list, I still want a Butcher in there.
Nah. All aggression, all the time.
Take the terrain feature anyway and use it as a roadblock.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you would want it, but if we're talking about getting a sub £200 starting list, I think could do well.
Yeah.
You could maybe forgo that for a couple of games.
Absolutely. So 3 star collecting boxes and the book, you're done.
Yep.
So anyway, what's in your Boulder Herd list?
So we have Frostlord on Stonehorn for the general.
Of course.
Who's obviously got the Lord of Beasts command trait. So plus 1 inch if you're wholly within 12 in the start of the movement phase.
I'm going to change the subject ever so slightly here, and I'm really sorry for it. But the list that I wrote is 4 drops.
Well, I'm 2. Your shooty your guts
the
list.
Ogre list, yeah, because the battalion plus the Tyrant, Firebelly, and Butcher, 4 drops. You've got a good chance of going first.
Yeah.
Right. So sorry, Boulder Herd.
Yeah. So Lord of Beasts on the Frostlord, then the Brand of the Svard for the +1 to hit on the mount.
Yep.
And then his mount trait is Metal Cruncher,
which
is the mortal wounds to 2, 3, or 4+ saves on the charge. It's on the charge, isn't it, or is it the start of the combat phase? I think it's on the charge.
Which one was it? Sorry.
The Metal Cruncher.
It's only on War Machines.
No.
At the start of the combat phase, pick one enemy War Machine or one enemy unit with a save characteristic of 4, 3, or 2 that is within 3 inches of the model and immediately. So yeah, that kind of gives you it back, but it's just against armoured stuff, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but a lot of things in the game's now got a 4-up save.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're doing your D6 mortal wounds on the charge, plus you're rolling your dice for whatever you charged.
Yes.
Yep.
And then we go into the actual battalion, which we've got a Huskard, and he's got the Black Clatterhorn mount trait, which gives his mount +1 to hit.
Just for the horns, though.
Yes, just for the horns. But that's
what you want.
Yeah. And then I've given him the Ethereal Amulet.
Why him?
And then, well, as I go through, the reason I've given it to him is for my battle line, it's a Stonearm Beast Rider, and a 6, a 4, and a 2 Mournfang.
Yeah.
Right? Now, like maybe go 6 and 6 Mournfang, but I think that the 4 and the 2 can be useful. And the reason that I went with the Ethereal Amulet on him is his command ability is quite nice on a big unit of Mournfang.
Yes.
So, being able to make the Mournfang themselves damage 3 on the charge.
With the horns.
Yes, with the horns. So it's just actual Mournfang themselves, not the riders.
Yeah.
I think that's really quite good.
It's really, really good.
And I think even with the Ethereal Amulet, people are still going to focus the Frostlord down.
Yeah.
So your Huskard survive a little bit longer based on the fact that he's got the Ethereal and the folk are going to want to get rid of the Frostlord. Mm-hmm. And the Huskard still hits hard in combat because most of the damage still comes from the Stonehorn itself.
Yeah, and you're getting +1 damage when you charge anyway.
Yeah.
Which, with the Frostlord, that's horrendously good.
I mean, the thing is, the Frostlord, you're going to throw him forward and he will die, but he's going to take as much as you can with him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Whereas the Huskard, you can be keep him back a little bit, keep him with the unit of 6,
yeah,
and try and get them the damage buff on the charge.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. I mean, you could do 6 and 6 and you go 2 units to buff, but a unit of 2 Mournfang can go after a lone hero on objective and they're going to outnumber him. They can go, your unit of 4 Mournfang can still put the hurt out, but I think you could play around with the way you set up the Mournfang.
Yeah. I was very surprised that Mournfang only count as 2 models. I thought the maybe would have said that was 3, but then obviously if they do that to any other mounts, then they've got to do it to the things like Gore Grunters and stuff, which, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just for simplicity's sake. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of talk. There was a lot of talk of people wanting more armies to get this. Oh, my models count as 2 thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's fine just the ogres getting it. Like they're 4 wounds apiece. Yes, they're on a 40 mil base, the same as a Stormcast, but Stormcast should never have been on 40 mil bases.
No,
they should have been on 32s. They should be like the Primaris.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm pretty sure the 32 bases didn't exist when they launched AOS.
No, they didn't. 32 mil bases only came out just before 8th edition 40k.
Yeah, so maybe had 32 mil bases been a thing, then that's where Stormcast would have been, and we wouldn't have this comparison. But no, I think the Mournfang, because you could do say the Mournfang counting is 3, but it just makes it a little bit more complicated. It's another thing.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I get it. They are 6 wounds apiece, so they are meaty units.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave them the clubs and the fists.
Yeah.
The reason again I'm going with the fists is with the Earl Badge, you're doing mortal wounds on 6s to hit. Now you're also doing it on 6s to save. So it's about trying to maximize that mortal wound output.
Yeah, I mean,
it's got that bonus already.
Gargant Hackers were always the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And now when you look at the fact that the clubs get an extra attack and hit on 3s.
Yeah.
Yes, they've got no rend. Yes, they're only 2 damage. But it really swings and roundabouts. But then when you consider that you've also got the fist to do damage back, it's really making me consider actually rip a couple of arms off mine now, because I've got 12 with Gargant Hackers.
Yeah. I think if you're taking the Earl Bad, you always want to roll as much dice as possible to try and get those 6.
Absolutely.
Just to try and put those extra couple of mortal wounds through.
Absolutely. But
again, the Gargant Hacker's 2-inch reach, but the bases are so big, it doesn't really matter that much unless you're fighting over a unit of ogres or something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think as far as, generic Beastclaw Raider lists go, I think an Earl Bad with what you've got there is Beastclaw Raider players are likely to run that or very close to that.
Yeah, I mean, they've probably been running that already.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
the only thing that I would change with it, and this is just, because of the way I play, is I would drop a unit of Mournfangs, and I would put a Butcher in.
Yeah.
And I would actually take the Thermal Rider Cloak on me Frostlord for 19-inch movement.
Yeah. No, it's...
You've got your 12, you've got 14 because you're hungry, you've got 18 because of the Thermal Rider Cloak, and you've got +1 for his command trait.
I think the reason that I like not doing that is I don't like... I can get quite aggressive in terms of the way I position my units when I'm playing. Mm-hmm. I can get carried away quite easily. So being able to charge one unit in very early on sounds appealing. And I will do that without thinking it through. And then he will die quickly because he's all alone in front of the entire army.
Yeah, but if you can take a Terrorgeist out doing that, you're going to do it.
Oh, yeah, but then there's going to be 2 more Terrorgeists that's going to take you out. But
then they've spent a turn doing that, which gives the rest of your army time to move up, and Oh, don't get me wrong, I absolutely do the same thing. And I tried to take out Gary's Troll Hag, but I didn't roll high enough on my charge to make the charge even with a 19-inch movement because he deployed so far back. I think I needed a 9 charge and I only rolled an 8 even with Bellow and Voice.
Yeah.
So obviously, you know, the fact that the Troll Hag regenerates D6 wounds a turn, it was like, I need to maximise my damage.
Yeah, you need to take it out in one go.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the other Mawtribes will not go into them massively, but there is very, very thematic ways of playing. I don't think some of them are competitive. For example, the Winterbite Mawtribe. If you've got an abundance of Sabres and Yetis, right, try that just for a laugh. I'm going to try it at some point because I've got 8 cats and 9 Yetis.
I think there is a list doing the rounds with a lot of Sabres in it.
Do you know why? Because you
can stack the attacks or something, is it?
I'm not sure exactly because I never looked massively into them, right?
Yeah, here you go, yeah. Icebrow Hunter, command ability, can add +1 to attacks characteristic of the unit's melee weapons, but you can stack it. There's no limit, and it wasn't FAQ either. So you could have your Frost Sabres doing as much attacks as you want.
But when you bear in mind that Yetis just have to be within 6 of an enemy to pile in a fight, so you don't even have to charge, and you activate them last, and you went, surprise, he's 9 Yetis.
The problem with that is, in my opinion, Yetis are one of the worst models that exist right now in AOS.
Do you know what? Buy rock trolls and convert them.
Do anything.
Yeah. I've got 9 fine cast ones, and yeah.
I mean, the Frost Sabres are bad, but people just use Fenrisian Wolves, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Yetis are just...
I mean, I bought the Icewind Assault box when that was out, so I kind of got a bit of a deal with that. And then when Battle Bunker first opened is when I was getting them, and Lucy bought me 3 Yetis and 4 cats as a present. Obviously, you got 4 cats in the box anyway, and then that got us 8. And then I actually found 3 on eBay when nobody was playing Beast Claw Raiders. I found 3 for like 16 quid.
Oh, well.
So I was like, yeah, I'll have them.
Yep.
So, I mean...
I think, is that box the only big army box Games Workshop have done that had Finecast in it?
No. There was a Flesh Eater one at the time came out, and it had a Vargulf Courtier in it.
Oh, did it?
Yes.
Ah, okay. I didn't remember that one. I thought that I always remembered that Beast Claw one was the only one that they actually put Finecast in it.
They moved away from that shortly after that, because that's when they moved into 8th edition. It was like, right, characters are just plastic now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think the command ability on this one actually is quite powerful, Grant, and I don't know how this would interact with Slaanesh, but it says you can use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly Winterbright hero, pick a friendly Frost Saber unit, and an Icefall Yeti unit that are wholly within 12 of the Winterbite hero. You can fight at the start of the combat phase. These units cannot fight again in that combat phase unless an ability or spell allows them to fight more than once. Would that overrule the Locus?
Locus happens at the start of the combat phase as well, doesn't it?
I don't know. I haven't got my book to hand.
I don't have the Slaanesh book. Is it on their War Scroll or is it the...
No, it's in the book. An ability, yeah.
Yeah, so...
If it's at the start of the combat phase...
If it's the start of the combat phase, it's on the Ogre player's turn, he'll go first. On the Slaanesh player's turn, they'll go first, because whoever's turn it is chooses the order
absolutely.
of the start phase stuff.
So, I mean, actually, that's not a bad shout, but then obviously, Yetis aren't great, Frost Sabres aren't massively amazing, but...
Yeah, but if you kill a great... a Keeper of Secrets with an Icefall with Yetis and Sabres... Doesn't matter if you win the game. That's just embarrassing for the Slaanesh player. I mean, how does he go in the next game? Well, how did you in your last game? Well, my keeper died to Yetis and Sabres. I mean, it's no one expects it.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, looking back at the book as a whole, like I said at the beginning, I think the book is still, it's very clearly split, but running it together is also nice. So if you just want to chuck a Frostlord and Stonehorn on your Ogre list, go for it, mate. And you still get
Yeah,
all
if
of
you've
your
been running
abilities.
Gutbusters, go and buy a Beast Claw Star Collecting set and start playing about with it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The one thing that I wish was in the book was Gargants.
They can ally, but yeah, I agree.
Because Gargants were in the old Ogre Kingdoms book.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
I have a list. It's a mixed destruction list still because Gargants aren't in the book. It's terrible, but it is 200 wounds at 2,000 points. And that's just the kind of perfection you need in a list.
I've actually got 2 Gargants painted up in the same Frost scheme because obviously when I was running General Destruction with Gutbusters before, I quite often stuck them in. And then I've got 1 painted up in my Gloom Spike colours, but now I don't know. I mean, you can ally them in, but realistically, 160 points, just take more Ogres.
This is the stupid but brilliant mixed destruction list. It's a Tyrant, 3 units of 12 Gluttons, and 4 Gargants.
That's nice.
I mean, it's not going to win much of anything, but it's kind of beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. So, hopefully we'll see the Ogor Mawtribes start to climb up the rankings.
Definitely. I mean, there's the amount of people that you just see painting them up now, wanting to paint them up.
Mm-hmm.
There's people who've been playing Ogres like yourself. There's been some people that want to play Ogres because the models still hold up. They still look great. But they just didn't do much. You had your War Scroll and that was it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
whereas now you've got all the abilities. You've got nice new fluff, which is, from what I've not read it all, but I've read a decent bit of it, and it's good. I like it. There's things I liked was the reference to other things like the Boulderhead tribes fighting with the All Herd, which is a nice throw to the Beast Claw book. Just little things like that. It makes it feel like a connected universe.
Yeah.
I also like the story of the Frostlord Bragath Varduk. Because that involves the Boulderhead tribe and the Meat Fist Ogor Mawtribe. It involves them in a war, which is interesting.
Yeah. It's nice that they've still acknowledged that they are separate, but obviously being able to run them together, kind of like what they did with the Auric War clans. A lot of people didn't agree with them putting them together, and do you know what? If it saves them putting out 2 extra books, and it means that you can actually just put whatever models you want in your army, then good. And that's why I like the Gloomspike Gits book. Realistically, you've got 4 armies in there. You've got Squigs, you've got Moon Clan, you've got Spider Riders, and you've got Troggoths, all in one book. It still works, and I like
the only one you could arguably break out is Troggoths, but you don't want a Troggoth book.
No,
there's not enough there.
No, not at all. So, going forward,
also, Nobblers are Nobblers again.
Yeah.
They changed the name, and now they're back to Nobblers, and that's important.
Going forward with Age of Sigmar, though, the Slaves to Darkness are next.
Yes, our 12th book this year, I think.
I couldn't even tell you.
Pretty sure it's something like that. Couldn't
tell you. Yeah, I've got most of them. My bookcase has expanded massively this year. I didn't expect all the new sculpts that we got or getting.
I was before the reveal. I was all in on them doing a whole redesigned Slaves to Darkness line.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Yep, that's going to happen." And then we got the release date leaks, and I was like, oh, "It's coming out just before Christmas or whenever it was. There's no way we're getting new sculpts that late in the year." And then Blood and Glory comes around, comes the reveal time, and bang, here we go.
Yeah. I mean,
and they're nice.
The Warriors were bad, but they're not the worst models that there is.
The Warriors were fine, they're just static. That was the issue with them. There's nothing wrong with the style of them.
And the same with the Knights.
They're old rank and file models. I mean, that's just, you were limited because they had to rank up. You couldn't have the freedom that we get now.
Yeah. The knights weren't bad.
No.
I mean, I've got 5 here that Lucy she had painted them in Slanesh before she passed the Slanesh army off to me. But I've resprayed them black and I'm going to be repainting them anyway. But, you know, getting new knights and new warriors was good. They didn't need to change the chariots. The chariots are fine. The horses aren't the best if you run the horses, but again...
the Marauder Horsemen?
No, the horses that go on the actual chariot.
Okay.
They're very basic, but, you know... You don't
the Gore Beast's quite nice, though. I like the Gore Beast.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But the chieftain riding that, what looks like a Dracoline.
Yeah.
Not a Dracoline, the Celestial Lion thing. Is it a Dracoline?
The
Evocator's
Slaves of Darkness. Yeah, it's a they're Dracolines, yeah.
Yeah. Riding one of them, but it looks like a stone version of it. Mm-hmm. It's like it's so menacing and cool.
It looks like a mix between a Dracoth and a Dracal.
Yeah.
Especially because the heavy arm, like I've got Dracoths on my painting table in front of me. Looking at the model, you can see the armor plates are similar between the two different styles. But no, it's a pretty tasty model, and the new knights are great. I'm glad they've kept the similar aesthetic, because I think, they're going to look. The static models aren't going to look great in with the new ones, but if you've already got the static models, you're not going to necessarily want to bin them all tomorrow and start again.
Yeah,
they're just better posed versions of what you have to an extent, but they are nice.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'll certainly be picking up one Start Collecting box because
that's the other thing as well. Yeah, they're launching in a Start Collecting box.
Yeah, which is odd actually, because I mean we're just getting the Space Marine and the Chaos Space Marine one now from Shadowspear.
I'm hoping this is a sign of things to come, that we're going to get Start Collecting boxes when new armies come out, because that's the time.
Do you know what?
Want to start collecting. There's
still no Start Collecting Death Guard. There is no Start Collecting Genestealer Cult.
No.
And there's no Start Collecting Gloomspite either.
No. I mean, but apparently these are easy build. These new...
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 or 3 boxes of them and you're going to have a fantastic army to go. I'm genuinely going to try and get my army painted up for release because, again, what they've done is they've wrapped in Archaon and the Everchosen.
Yep. And the Warcry warbands.
Yep, exactly.
But the way they mention them in the article makes me think there's going to be a reason to take the Warcry warbands. Mm-hmm. Not just in the way they are just now. I don't know if there's maybe going to be a battalion that houses all the Warcry stuff together or what, but the fact they call that out in the article makes me think there's going to be a reason to put them in the army. Mm-hmm. More than just, you own them, you might as well do something with them.
Yeah. Well, hopefully there'll be battle line, because that would be cool. I mean, I don't think there will, but...
I do wish that there was no more Marauders, because those models need to go.
Well, here's the thing, right? I am going to try and get my army painted up for the release of it, right? Mm-hmm. I've got 2 Gore Beast chariots, and if I can find... I know there's 2 horses somewhere. I'll turn one of them... they're magnetised, but I just need to find the horses and paint them. Back to a normal Chaos Chariot, which is Battle Line currently. It might not be. One of them's going to have to stay as a Gore Beast, unfortunately, because we donated one of the horses to Ian to build one of the one of the Rockbringer guys on a horse. So that might end up being proxy. And then I've got 5 knights, so I can get away. And I was like, I don't really want to buy more Marauders and stuff like that. So I was considering using my what they're called, Corn. What's the guys called with the 6-up save?
The Blood Reavers.
Yeah, just stick some of them in because they're going to be on the same basis anyway. They're not going to look massively out of place.
What size base are they? They're not on 32s though.
Well, they should be, but mine are on 25s.
Okay, fair enough then.
So
I mean, if for that case, they're on 25s. That's fine. That's what I would do.
I've got Chaos Lord or Sorcerer on Manticore, which I need to paint. And I've actually got the Chaos War Shrine.
Oh yes, the War Shrines at the moment is pretty tasty. So,
and then of course that doesn't get me many points. I've got a Demon Prince I can chuck in, and I've got 2 Warcry warbands, but then I've got Archeon, and I was debating buying some Varangard before the release.
That's a bold move.
Debating.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to drop 60 quid on a box of Varangard.
Yeah, that's the...
And
they're fine cast. Are they fine cast?
No, they're plastic.
They are plastic.
Yeah. Yeah. And then be like, oh, well, the crap.
Yeah, it's a risk.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to pick up the Star Collecting box, but
they are lovely models. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, they're not an army that I'm probably going to run that often. And I'll certainly run them more than my Khorne, but with all the destruction armies that I've got that I love running, I don't think I'll bring them out that often. So I think if I'm just buying 1 Star Collecting box, that's not so bad.
Yeah. And it's good to have something like that for the launch of the book, because this is going to be a popular book.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I won't get the Star Collecting box before the book, but...
No.
To have something on the table, I would very much like.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it does mean like a 1700, 1800 point game with Archeon in it.
Yeah, but I mean, we need to know how Archeon's going to be in this book. People are going to want to see how good he is. Is he as good as the world ender that he's supposed to be?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So that's all happening before Christmas. What are your predictions for next year, or what would you like to see next year?
I think we're probably going to see the Tyrian and Teclis elves.
Yeah, because that's been hinted at since. Has it been 2 years since the Daughters of Cain come out? It has. It's come up 2 years.
Yeah.
And it was kind of mentioned then, and then with the Ideneth a couple of weeks after that, it was massively hinted at in their Battle Tome.
And especially with the Penumbral Legends, mentioning that Tyrion... It was Tyrion that did them, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. Mentioning him again, bringing his name into lore again.
He was mentioned quite a lot in Forbidden Power, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Realm Slayer, I think, mentions him.
Right.
Pretty sure he comes across in those books. So yeah, I think that's a given. People want elves, and not necessarily fish elves or naked lady elves.
Plus,
they want high elves.
Didn't a lot of the high elf models disappear in the Cities book?
Yes, I think they did.
I know the Phoenix Guard and stuff stuck around, but all the Lion stuff...
Not that you can actually buy Phoenix Guard anymore, but yes. Because they are sold out.
They're so good.
Yeah. And that's why they're sold out.
I mean, they were always decent anyway.
They just got better.
They just got better because of Allegiance abilities. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would very much like to see...
I still don't like that book existing.
What, the Cities book?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I either would have liked them to do it more like Firestorm and have more units linked into cities more.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the Firestorm campaign stuff? You were limited in certain cities to only take certain units. I think that was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Alternatively, what I really wanted was a whole new human AOS-ified faction, we have the Overlords. And that book, I know there's a lot of people who love the old world. I was never really one of them. I came late into fantasy. So there's a part of me that wishes they just kind of went, right, okay, we're putting that to one side, but here's new stuff.
Yeah. I think it's the fact that a lot of the models were still there. They probably had tons of stock. It was nice to go, here you go, here's something for you guys with all of your own models. Yeah. But from what I understand, and I haven't gone through the book with a fine-tooth comb, a lot of it's very, very strong.
Yeah, Hallowheart is pretty nuts. And even Living City can do some... Well, my Dracoth list, for example, if I was to run it under cities, it would be better than it is with Stormcast.
Yeah.
But I don't want to run a cities army, I want to run a Stormcast army. So,
for me, I would like to see Caradhran Overlords get a rework. Because I think the models are so cool, but the rules are tripe.
And a few new models, I think.
Yeah.
Thunderers as battle line would be nice. or the gun hauler as battle line with certain general choices. I think that'd be something different.
From what I understand as well, the ships are incredibly costly and you get very little back for them.
Yeah, they've got like a 4-up save on the Ironclad, I think. Like, it just dies.
I would love to, I know people go on about it all the time now, but I would genuinely like to see Grot Sky Pirates. I really would.
Yeah, I think that's going to remain a fan-made army. I don't think they'll do that officially. I think because it's too much like, oh, here's the destruction version of
Caradhras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd want to see. I think the thing is now though, at this point, we got a new Seraphon book, actually. New Seraphon book would be good.
Yes, I forgot about that. And
starting to get a bit long in the tooth. New Nurgle. Nurgle need a little bit of a... They were in that awkward time zone of pre-AOS 2. It's still a little bit AOS 2-like.
I think the Nurgle book, the Daughters of Kin, the Ideneth book were all wrote with AOS 2 in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they're as bad. I think, although they're not slacking, I think Zinch need a rework.
Yeah.
Because even the points, like when I played against Stephen Lumsdale, one of the local guys a few months back, and he was like, oh yeah, this unit of like 15 pink horrors is like 400 points or something. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's mental. That's mental. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know competitively you've got the change horse and you just spam endless spells, but...
Apart from that, yeah, they're... And Skyfires, Enlightened are good.
Yeah.
They're very good.
Yeah.
But they always were.
I would like to see them get a rework, but yeah, Seraphon. I think Seraphon should be next. Absolutely.
They need something.
Mm-hmm.
Because the lore is changing. They're not necessarily memories anymore. That was hinted at in one of the Malign Portents short stories.
Yeah.
Hinted that might be retconning that out, which I think would please a lot of people. I don't mind the idea of them being memories.
Right.
But I know they rubbed a lot of old Lizardmen fans the wrong way. Understandably so.
Yeah.
I mean, your whole army doesn't really exist.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the idea of them being good demons was something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because they have the demon keyword.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I don't know. I will probably get a new Stormcast book next year.
No. You know,
you won.
Lucy gave up playing a Stormcast because she was like, oh, but I'm on my 3rd battle tome in like 2 years. There's so many characters that do so many different buffs and so many different units. She was like, it's just too complicated. And that's what she loved about a Flesh Eaters. It was just like,
yeah,
that's it. That's what it is. She's got like 4 or 5 units and that's her army.
The problem with the Stormcast book is a lot of it's not very good.
Yeah.
It needs a rework. I don't necessarily want new models. I'd rather not get new models, in fact. I just want to sit down and rebalance the book a little bit.
The problem with the Stormcast book is they want, oh, new shinies. Let's sell new shinies and make them powerful. So all the new stuff is pretty good. Anything that... Even the Vanguard stuff is terrible.
Yeah. It's... Apart from long strikes, it's not good.
Yeah.
But I always think is in front of Warhammer World, they've got a big Liberator now.
Oh, that's been there ages.
Yeah. But Liberators are trash.
Space Marines are trash? Well,
yeah, but
I'll rephrase that.
Space Marines are iconic.
Tactical Space Marines are trash.
But Space Marines are an iconic GW faction. They obviously wanted the same from Stormcast.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not seeing... Because even though... Space Marines were trash, you still saw Space Marines on the table, be them as Devastators or as Tactical Marines, whatever you were seeing them as. They were still looked like that. You don't see Liberators on the table now unless it's the three 5-man squads for minimum battle line.
Yeah.
So I want to see... I'd like them to go back and look at stuff like that and give people a reason to take the different chambers now. Because at the moment, you're either taking like Shoecast with all your long strikes or Sacrosanct.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really looking at anything else.
Nope.
Says the guy running a Star Drake and a Desolator. But yes. I mean, generally speaking, you're not, because it's not super competitive at all. And it's a shame. There's a lot like Paladins. Paladins are such a great unit. Their models are fantastic.
Lucy loved Paladin. Honestly, she used to run like 10 Decimators and 10 Retributors all the time, and then she'd have like two blocks of 10 or 15 Liberators, and then Judicators, and that was Lucy's list.
Mm-hmm.
But
now, if you try that, you're just going to get rolled over.
She loves the Sequitur models, but she hates the rules because it's like, oh, well, I've got to do the shields, I've got to do the weapons, and then and she's just like, it's too many rules.
Mm-hmm. I think Sequiturs were by and large a mistake. Surely, like they're too good for battle line compared to every other Stormcast battle line option.
Absolutely.
Judicators need to come down in points. There's so much to do with them, and that's why I don't want new models to compound the problem. Because I think even if you went back and redid what exists, all those people that have their sacrosanct stuff that don't have the old stuff, well, they've not got reason to go and buy all the old stuff.
Yeah.
But that one's wishful thinking. If you get new Stormcast, it's going to be the new chamber, be it the Ruination Chamber or whatever chamber's next. Is how it's going to go. And
do you know what I've just thought of them when you've said that? Can you remember ages ago? But Lord, you can't open a new chamber just because of this. The hell I can't. Bang.
Oh, that was amazing. That was some of the best like little video things GW have done, and they've gotten so good at that now.
Yeah,
their community team and the way they handle everything is great.
I mean, we were laughing the other day. What was it? Was it? Someone put something up, and a guy commented on the Facebook page, and he goes, "Go home, GW. You're drunk." And they were like, "Yeah,
we
would go home, but there's a bar there, so we'd probably just drink even more." And I think you shared a picture of another one as well, and I was just like, "That's..."
Yeah, there's funny with the square bases, and somebody said like, "Oh, thank you for bringing like square bases back. It's my birthday," and they'd replied like, "Oh, sorry, we didn't get you anything for your birthday." Like, they're just so good at it.
Yeah, someone said something about adapters to go from square to circle bases or something, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we already sell them. Here you go," and posted a link to the file. I was like, that's brilliant. I never saw that one. That's brilliant.
But it's great because it gets people speaking about it. It gets people sharing those screenshots. Like,
do you know what
it's much better than back in the day where you wouldn't hear anything from Games Workshop.
That's what I was going to say. So I started playing 40k when a couple of weeks after 7th edition dropped. I think you got one, maybe two FAQs for the entirety of 7th edition till about 6 months before it ended. And they went, right, what's the problem with the game? What do you want us to change? And every week they released an FAQ for the next army.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, so a year before 8th edition dropped, so what we're talking, it's been out 2.5 years now. So probably the last 3 years, GW, with their communication, have been spot on.
Yeah.
They really have. The fact that they do the reveals and everything is one thing about the reveals I don't like is if you go to an event, they put it on the website before you get to see it at the event. What's the point in going to the event? I don't agree with that. But
well, I think it happens while you're in the seminar, does it not?
No. I was stood outside with Chapter Master Valrak at the Vigilus weekend in November last year, and it went live on the community page before they even opened the door.
That's, yeah.
I don't agree with that.
Like the Blood and Glory ones that happen at night, I think they happen. I think they're in the room while it's happening, and then they put them on the community page.
Yeah,
but
they should do that one with the events.
Yeah, definitely.
So that unfortunately brings us to the end. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope me and Grant have been able to give you a little bit of insight into Ogres, and you've enjoyed our little bit of.
Pretty sure I've just waffled for an hour and a half. So I mean, I don't have any of it of any use to anybody, but on you go, have fun with it.
Yeah, I'm still stoked about the Ogres. I wish I had more time to play, but obviously filming for the channel and stuff, I've got to try and cycle not only armies but circulate between 40k and AOS. And honestly,
but the thing with the Ogres are new, they're exciting. People want to see them in played different ways, and you can do that, which is great.
Yeah. I just wish I had a bit more time to like. If I had another week off work and I could just go, right, I'm filming 3 games over these 2 or 3 days and just run different lists every time. So, but in other news as well, Lucy's Bone Reapers.
Oh, God.
She's gone very simple with the paint scheme, so to be honest, I don't think they're going to take long to get on the table. I built her a 2,000 point list, which I will regret playing against as soon as
You've only got yourself to blame then.
It's the same with the orcs as well. She went, what do I need to get on the table? I just went, Morkanaut, Stomper,
Stomp is so good. It's so big. It's so big.
Yeah. So basically, I said to her, right, 15 knights, so 10 and a 5, and your 10 skellies. The character, Nagash and Arkan.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun on Ogres with no rend.
So yeah, stay
tuned. Lightly pawing at Nagash and hoping he falls over somehow.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that, guys. There's going to be a lot more AOS coming to the channel over the next few weeks, I think, because she's also been painting up bits and pieces towards Legion of Nagash. So obviously with having an extra Morghast now, the Mortis engine, she can double up with Legion of Grief now as well. There's going to be a lot more coming. And obviously I'll be getting a small Slave to Darkness Force. But yeah, going back to saying goodbye, I hope you have enjoyed it. Make sure you're following us on YouTube for all of our battle reports and reviews. Make sure you're following us on Twitch for our Monday night hobby streams and impromptu streamed games. And I think that's everything. Oh, and check back in 2 weeks' time for a 40k podcast. So we're going to alternate this. So every month there'll be an AOS podcast, and every month there'll be a 40k one, but they'll be opposite fortnights.
Yeah.
So, Grant, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you very much indeed. And
it's been a lot of fun.
Hopefully next time we can discuss Slaves to Darkness, and then we might have a hint at what's after that.
Well, that would be good. It would be good to see what's coming, or even if I just don't know. It's exciting though. It's exciting not knowing what's coming next year, because you just can't predict it at this point.
Not at all. So thank you very much for listening, folks. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll catch you again very soon.
Bye.